How are you?
Hi, Julian. Very well, thank you. How are you doing, man?
Oh, good, man. Thanks for the invite.
Well, such a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time out to come and share some of your work.
Of course.
Really looking forward to it. So what I'd really love to do is just hear a little bit about you and your background, how you made your way into Bitcoin, and then I'd love to just dive into what you're doing with Relai as well. And yeah, so take it away. If anyone has questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat and we can get to them at the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the floor is yours, Julian. Go for it.
Cool. Thank you. Looking forward to this 30 minutes. I have prepared a presentation, like if you want, but we can also just chat. Whatever is better for you guys. And obviously, whenever you have questions, feel free to ask. I think it's probably the best to just interact with each other. Whatever interests you, I'm happy to give you more insights and more details on that. So I'm Julian. Julian Liniger. I'm a little bit sick now. Maybe you can hear it, but that's fine. I'm in my home office here in Zurich, Switzerland. I'm 28 years old. I'm a young entrepreneur into Bitcoin since 2015, and now I'm mainly working on Relai, the world's easiest Bitcoin investing app made in Switzerland. This is this logo that you see here. As said, I can pitch what we do later if you want in more detail, but basically we're just trying to be the easiest access for people to get into Bitcoin, especially newbies who don't really know what this is all about, but would love to get some access because they're interested in it, because they maybe read something in a newspaper or saw some video of an influencer or talked to some buddy about it, and just get interested and try to tip a first toe into this whole Bitcoin thing. And we try to kind of tell them that Bitcoin is not just for short-term speculation, but it's actually for long-term saving. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand yet, but they will, and soon the more and more they are understanding it. That's what we see from like our customer base, that Bitcoin is really seen as a savings technology more and more, which I think is very interesting. And we now have, so we started the Relai app. We went live in July 2020, so a little bit more than a year now. And have had great success from the beginning. Actually, obviously, like we had some burdens, we had some up and downs, as the market has as well, always. But right now we are at a little bit more than 30,000 app downloads in the whole Europe, more than 40 different countries, mainly Germany and Switzerland, but also basically all the other European countries as well. And yeah, we have quite some customer base that we are now talking to a lot. We're also very active on social media, so we get a lot of feedback from our users, which is great. We're kind of building a community that likes to make Bitcoin easy for everybody. So yeah, that's basically a little bit about me and about what we are doing currently.
Amazing. That's really good. And so, sorry, the first time you actually heard about Bitcoin, what was this introduction? Did you read about it? Was it a friend that told you about it? How did you get your feet wet?
Exactly. It was a friend that told me about it, because back then I was studying business administration and psychology. These were my two fields. So I was not into technology at all, actually. So there was one lecture that I kind of failed and had to do again, and this was business informatics. So everything that was about informatics was not really my thing. Up until now, I can't really read one line of code. So I have a very good tech co-founder that does this for me. But basically, yes, 2015, I was a business student. Really had no idea about technology, but I was interested in investing. And then a friend of mine who actually studied informatics, who was more of a tech guy, told me about this thing, like this internet money that was independent from banks and governments, so independent of any institution actually, and only via the internet you can basically hold and transfer money, which I thought was very interesting. And with him, it basically through him, I also bought my first Bitcoin at $500. And then started to trade, going back and forth. Also had a lot of ICO and shitcoin experience, obviously, because I just thought it's an interesting speculation, but not really. It's nothing to be taken serious. Just kind of interesting. Because back then it was also used on the darknet a lot, and it was kind of shady, very, very shady. There was no trusted exchange or anything. So yeah, I was just thinking, interesting, going up and down, speculating a little bit, cashing out a little bit from time to time, losing some money. But then 2017, before the bull run, like beginning of 2017 was actually when I got into it, and really read about it, and really fell down the rabbit hole and understood what this could mean for like the world, our society, the financial system, and that Bitcoin actually has a shot to be the next global reserve currency. And then soon I also read, just when it came out, I read the Bitcoin standards, Seifedin Ammous, and that's what really, hit me. And that's also when I got away a little bit more and more from shitcoins, basically, and getting more into Bitcoin as the basic financial network and the savings technology of the 21st century. And from where I understood that, I really also devoted my whole career, so my professional life, to it. And then started a consulting business, which is very small, Bravis, where we three people are advising banks on Bitcoin. And then a training company as well, the Certified Crypto Finance Expert, which is a training certificate for so further education for bankers in the Bitcoin world. And then finally, last year in 2020, I founded Relai, which is basically the most of my time now goes to Relai, which is my main project. As said, this easy Bitcoin app.
That's really fabulous, man. I'd love it if you could take us through what Relai is really offering and what you guys are doing differently, because I've checked out the app and everything. Looks really awesome, and I think it achieves everything you guys are hoping to do, which is just a very simple and easy way to get into Bitcoin. Because at least from a lot of the people that I speak to, this is one of the biggest hurdles, is that it's a little bit abstract and there's a lot of stuff involved which they deem like too techy. Or whatever. So I think to aid adoption all around the world, to doing what you're trying to do, I think is a very important step that needs to be taken, because we don't need to bring all of the complexities of Bitcoin into the forefront. They can stay sort of hidden for the people that are really interested, and then we can allow this technology to work for the people, for the majority of people.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's really, most people don't understand how an iPhone works. Most people don't understand how a car works, but they're still using them day by day, right? And that's exactly what we are still to achieve, I think, with Bitcoin, because people always think like, okay, I'm getting into Bitcoin and I need to understand what nodes are doing and what miners are doing and what all the whole inflation schedule and all that kind of stuff. And I think it's hard for everybody to really understand this. We need to get to a point where people understand why it's valuable, but not how it works. No, not everybody needs to know how it works. And that's one of the things we need to achieve, and we try to achieve. And yeah, it's also underestimated how hard it still is to get into Bitcoin. If we around Bitcoiners or around people who are maybe tech oriented or fintech, finance, investing and stuff like that, they maybe have already different accounts with Revolut, with Robinhood, with Coinbase, with whatever, then it's another discussion. But these are 5 to 10% of the whole population. 90% are still like, they have no idea. They barely use e-banking. They barely use, other financial or technical services. And for them, it's actually, and we all underestimate it because we're in the bubble. But for these people, I'm talking about taxi drivers, the hairdressers out there, the construction site workers, all these people, they don't really have an easy access to Bitcoin yet. It's too complicated for them to even open a Coinbase or Binance account and then send money to there and getting verified, uploading all these documents and stuff. And it's too hard of a process for them to invest couple of $100 into Bitcoin. And that's really the problem we wanted to solve.
Yeah, fantastic.
So maybe I can share quickly my screen so you can check out the presentation. Can you see that?
Yep, all good.
Perfect. All right.
That's great.
My name is Julian Liniger. I co-founded this company and I'm still the CEO. And Relai is really about easy Bitcoin investing. Why do we think that makes sense? And maybe here I this is our company pitch that we usually do for investors, but also I topped it up with some slides about why Bitcoin is a good savings technology, why it makes sense to save with Bitcoin, so that maybe you guys who are listening, I mean, some of you are maybe newbies. For them, it's kind of this is the explanation why we think everybody should get into Bitcoin and save with Bitcoin. But also for the ones who are already into Bitcoin, or the Bitcoin enthusiasts, basically the remnants. I also would like you to give some tips how you can talk to newbies, how you can explain these topics, or just tell you how I explain it to investors who are not into Bitcoin yet, for example. So we think that saving is a very important thing. 2/3 of the Swiss people, for example, are saving still with a savings account at the bank. 20% of all the income they make, they put just on a savings account at the bank. And what happens there is they lose money through inflation, they lose money through negative interest rates, and they have intransparent banking fees where they lose money as well. So you basically put your money somewhere, you pay someone to hold your money, and then you pay some interest on this money again, and the money loses purchasing power every year as well. So basically saving is broken. We can't really save anymore. In the 80s and 90s, we had between 5 and 10% of positive interest rate. Then saving made sense with a savings account. But right now, this financial system is really broken. So people are actually losing purchasing power every year on their savings. And that's not the deal. That's not the idea. So people now need to get away from saving into an investing mindset. And so they think, how can I preserve the value of my money, right? And then they come to the conclusion that they need to invest it in some asset that keeps the purchasing power. But obviously there's a lot of different asset classes, like for example, gold, stocks, bonds, real estate. And now for a little bit more than 10 years, we have Bitcoin, a digital alternative of gold, or of a store of value. And here in the data, you can see that Bitcoin really surpassed or outperformed all the other asset classes by far, be it the last 1 year, the last 3 years, the last 5 years, or the last 10 years. Bitcoin has always been the best performing asset class in the world. And so therefore, Bitcoin is the best long-term savings technology. Now, at this point, obviously, people ask, okay, it did perform pretty well, but this could be a coincidence. It's just a short-term speculation that it's a hype that can go on for a couple of years, but it's not like a long-term savings technology. And so how we try to explain them is now, okay, why is, for example, gold a very good savings technology? And it has been for thousands of years. And then you get to some characteristics that gold has that made it a very good way of saving. Like it's durable, it's portable, it's fungible, it's verifiable, it's divisible, and most of all, it's scarce. So obviously, scarcity leads to the price of an asset is always depending on demand and supply. And so if a supply is scarce and the demand is rising because of all of these characteristics, that is censorship resistance and all of that, the demand is rising, and the price, obviously, if it's scarce, if the supply is limited, then the price is rising and the purchasing power is rising. And so now if you compare Bitcoin to gold, actually in a lot of things, it is even better than gold. So it's more portable. For example, if you want to send gold from here to Zimbabwe or something, good luck. It's gonna take you some days or even weeks, and it's gonna be very expensive. So with Bitcoin, this is very easy. It's verifiable. So if you get a piece of gold, you don't really know if it's gold or if someone mixed something in it. You know, you need to go to a jeweler and he will tell you how much of gold is actually in this piece. Whereas in Bitcoin, you can easily verify it with a node. It's just software. It's very easy. It's way more divisible. You know, gold, you can only divide it. 1 ounce of gold, you can only divide it so much. With Bitcoin, you can basically divide it unlimited. Right now, 1 Satoshi is 100 millionth of a Bitcoin, but you can even go lower than that. There's really no limit. And it's the scarcest asset that ever has existed. And that's basically the best argument to make why it is the best savings technology, because people will always save their money in the long run in an asset that is scarce. It cannot be inflated by, like fiat currencies, for example, can be printed by the money press by governments, by central banks. So the more there is, the less one piece has value, right? Whereas in Bitcoin, this is not possible because it's not even only scarce, it's actually a fixed asset. It's the only asset that has a fixed supply of 21 million, and there will never be more. Whereas in fiat currencies, you know, there has never been a fiat currency that has not inflated. So usually fiat currencies inflate within 100 to 200 years, and they hyperinflate, and then they get basically, they stop existing, and then a new fiat currency is being invented. But like gold, for example, is quite scarce already because there's only so much gold you can get off the ground. But also there, you never know how much gold exactly is still left in the ground in the world. And also you don't know whether in the universe and other planets, you might find gold at one point. And then if you would find a lot of gold, for example, on Mars, then this would be bad for gold as an asset because it wouldn't be scarce anymore. So the more gold there is, obviously, the lower the value would be. Whereas in Bitcoin, this is really a software, an open source software. There is no way how there can be more than 21 million. And because of all of these arguments, we argue that Bitcoin is actually better than gold and is the best savings technology, not only in the short run, but really also on the long run. There's also some data that is backing this. We had the performance before, so every year there are higher highs in Bitcoin so far. But what's even more interesting is there's also higher lows almost every year. So if you check this this graph, and you see that every year for now 5 years, 6, 7 years even, 6 years, the last 6 years, every year, the bottom of the Bitcoin price was higher than the year before. So even though there is high volatility, it goes up and down, Bitcoin sometimes can lose 50, 60, 70, even 80% in a couple of weeks. There are crashes. But if you zoom out and really only look at, okay, how low did it go every year, then every year it is higher, right? So you could even, if you just save, you know, on a weekly or a monthly basis, your money that you can set aside in Bitcoin, then you, for the last 6 years, you would have made a very good savings, would have made a very good savings plan like this. That also obviously leads to a lot of demand. Like 5 years ago, nobody basically cared about Bitcoin. And now if you ask investors that are investing in stocks, in bonds, and real estate and all that kind of stuff, they put cryptocurrencies and obviously Bitcoin mostly on place number 4, on rank number 4. And you see also that the younger generation, the more popular is Bitcoin as an investment. So that means that, you know, millennials and especially also Gen Z, so people who are between teenage age and 30, 35. So the young people are more interested than the old people. So in the next 10 to 20 years, what we expect is that a lot of the money in the world goes to the young people, obviously, because they earn it, because they inherit it as well. So the entrepreneurs and the business people and, you know, all the working class, everybody who is entering the market now in the next 10 to 20 years, they will get like 50% of the money in the world will flow from the old people to the new people. And these young people, as you see here, will invest this money in Bitcoin. A lot of that will flow into Bitcoin. That's why Bitcoin is becoming investors' favorite asset class, and obviously in this regard, it will increase in value a lot. It's also, again, an argument why that makes it a good savings technology. But the problem now is, and now we're getting back to our business, is Bitcoin, investing in Bitcoin is still a big pain. There are tedious onboarding processes, like, as we said before, taxi drivers and hairdressers and all these kinds of people. They hate to do onboardings, giving their putting their information, uploading some documents, getting verified, having an account, having a password to manage, and all that kind of stuff. There are a lot of manual processes in there as well, which they hate. They need their laptop, they need their phone. And it takes a lot of time, takes up to a week until you get verified at an online exchange. Then you have to send the money there, and then you have this complex interfaces with like stop loss order and market order, and they don't, all these graphs, and they don't really know what this means. And you have all these different cryptocurrencies. You don't know what exactly you want to buy, and then you buy it, and then you have to withdraw it to a wallet. So you have to create a wallet again, and you have to save a password. Yeah, you have to manage a private key there. So this is all way too confusing and too complex for normal people. And that's why only around 1% of the world is invested in Bitcoin so far, where we believe, obviously, this will be a lot more. This will be more than 50% at one point. But to get to there, these people need an easy solution. And the solution that we have built is called Relai. It's a mobile app. Within 1 minute, you can invest in Bitcoin with no registration at all. So you don't have to put your name, your personal information, your email address, or any documentation, nothing. You can just start right away with only $10. You can start, and directly with your bank account. The only thing you need to have is a bank account where you can send money. So it looks like this. Basically, you download the app, you open it, and it tells you what you can do. And let's get started. So when you start here, a wallet is created in the background, so you don't have to download the wallet and set it up. It's all ready. You can buy, sell, send, receive, and store your Bitcoin. So yes, you can also send. You can also put in a savings plan, like let's say a weekly $100. I want to invest this automatically. You put in your IBAN and you get an invoice. So now you set up a standing order from your bank to this invoice, and done. You get your Bitcoin every week. And that's basically how I think millennials and Gen Z especially, but most of the people in the next 10 to 20 years will be saving in an easy way or bad. These are the numbers we have achieved so far. So as said, July last year, we went live and we grew quite a lot. So right now we have around 2 million volume in Swiss franc and euro, or it's comparable to US dollar, 2 million per month in volume, around 30K in revenue, and something around 30K, 31K in app downloads, more than 10K active users, so users who at least do one trade per month. Way more than 100,000 transactions so far, more than 15 million in volume so far. And that's about where we are at now. We also raised quite some money. We almost raised 3 million through different investors. We had a financing round in May this year or April this year, where we we convinced 4 venture capitalists that are supporting us. So we have quite some money behind us that allowed us to build a team. We have an amazing tech team, marketing team and the product team that we are more and more expanding on, and the leadership team, where, for example, great hires like Imo Babic, who is now our CMO. He has been the CMO and marketing responsible for Bitpanda, which is now a $4 billion company, basically Europe's Coinbase, Europe's most successful exchange. He was working there for 2 years, and now he's working with us. So yeah, great people, a lot of money behind it, and all of it is only really going to make going into the mission of making Bitcoin easier and accessible to everybody.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much for that. So I've got a couple quick questions that I'd love to get in before we wrap up in a few minutes. My first one would be that, have you noticed since actually launching, has the size of the payments that people are opting in to get increased?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. So usually when people start, they start with very low. They start with $10, $20, and then they go up in their personal journey after a month or two, when they kind of trust the service and like the service. So in the end, also at the beginning, the average was like $100 at the beginning when we started, and now it's around $150, $160 on average per transaction. So people coming in 10, 20, $30 per trade, and then they go up to around 150.
Fabulous. And does your app buy at market price, or can they sort of set a limit order when they're actually opting to purchase Bitcoin? Or do you guys choose a price, or how exactly do you actually go about purchasing the Bitcoin when they put the money in?
Right now, it's like people sending the money, and whenever we receive the money, we instantly convert it to Bitcoin and send it back to their Relai non-custodial wallet. So whatever the price is when we receive the money, that's the price they get. And we provide best execution. So we go out on different exchanges, finding the best price for them at this moment and sending it back to user. That's actually a little bit of a problem right now, that users say, oh, I mean, I want to buy now, but I need to wait until the money is there, and I want to have the price when I click and not the price where you get the money. So this kind of gap we need to close, and we're working with some partners now that we can offer additional payment methods, like instant payment methods, like credit card, for example, by the end of this year, so that this will be sorted out.
That's great. And my last question, did you guys run into any sort of difficulties trying to allow bank transfers to the app, or was Switzerland for the most part pretty accommodating to what you were doing? How was that process?
The biggest pains we had, and we still have, is getting a bank account. So us getting a bank account was really hard. First, we only needed one for paying our salaries, paying tax and stuff like that. Even that was very hard. So we have this now. And we worked with an external broker. Now we are in the process of becoming our own broker. By the end of the year, we will launch our own broker, which will be very exciting. But for this, we need a broker account where we actually can accept customer funds. And this is very hard again. We are still in the process of getting a bank account. So yeah, for Bitcoin companies to work with banks, it's still very hard, even in Switzerland, even though Switzerland is supposed to be the crypto nation and everything, but still very rough.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think it's going to take a little bit of time before traditional finance is very accommodating, but look, it's a process anyway. But thank you so much for your time today, Julian. Look forward to catching up again soon, and I'll definitely get in touch if I make my way through Zurich. But
yeah, you should, absolutely. And whenever you guys have some questions, let me know. I post my email address here. If you have any questions, you can let me know. And probably on Twitter, I'm something like Julian_Liniger. I'm also on Twitter. Yeah, so let me know.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Sure.
Look forward to catching up soon.
Thanks for the invite. Cheers, guys.